Testimony Thursday with Ernisa. Testimony Thursday with Ernisa. Subscribe.
What, to be quite honest with you, I think I've written 127 short stories. Now, it's probably a little bit more than that. And then books like this one, like this particular book here, or maybe a little bit longer. I have probably more than a handful. This book, Ordinary Guide, 3rd edition, is not the original story, as it implies on the 3rd edition part here. It started out as Ordinary Guide Charmed, and I think my preacher at the time was the first person to buy one. That was back in 2012. So we're looking at 13 years ago that story was published, or a little bit longer. I think it was August 22nd, 2012. And I believe my preacher was the first one. I saw online where my brother, my husband, who's passed away, sent my brother a Facebook message asking him, say, your sister just wrote a book. It's worth the money, buy it. That was the first story I wrote. I wrote in about 22 days, and it was the first part of this book. It's called Ordinary Guide Charmed. It got some great reviews on Amazon, Ordinary Guide Charmed. This one has been revised to include Ordinary Guide Charmed and Spellbound. And then, so that's one right there, but really two. And then we have, after that one, I wrote a story called Bad Preachers. And I took it off the market for a while because I say this book right here is too bad to be a Christian book. And then I got to talking with this one counselor at Lakewood Elementary School. And he said, no. He said, this is a part of life. He said, that book is all right to keep on the market. So eventually I did put it back on the market. And I wrote a second book of flipping it, so Good Preachers. Then my brother came along. He said, Robin, write a book called When Divas Cry. So I wrote When Divas Cry, which is the longest story. It's in 12 parts, but it's about 80,000 words, if I'm not mistaken. And the setting is in a hot Florida city where there's a struggle for Black people to get jobs. So what this group of African American strugglers do is they end up changing themselves to women. They end up dressing up like women. They end up getting their boobs done. They ended up getting a whole lot of plastic surgery and everything. They end up putting on fake hair and everything like that. One of the girls who goes to see the counselor, and the reason she goes there is because a man likes her, and she's having difficulty with that because she's really a man. So she goes to see the counselor, and that counselor takes a liking to her because of her looks, and he chases after her. He finds himself in quite a predicament that is really, really a terrific story if you care to read about it. In the end, he finds out that looks really can be deceiving. So that's When Divas Cry. I also wrote a book. It's in 4 parts on Amazon. It's called Size 22, and it's about a girl who has eating disorders. And she's to the point where she is so distraught about her weight that she resorts to bulimia. And in her course of going to the doctor, being hospitalized, they recommend a treatment program for her. And when she gets to the treatment program, the girls who she admires the most, the ones who are thin and fit, she finds out that they've been throwing up too. She finds out that the grass really isn't greener on the other side. So that's another one. That's 5 of them. I'm trying to think if I flip I said bad preachers and good preachers, so that was the one I flipped. I'm trying to think if I flipped anything else. But anyways, those are some of my books, to say.
And where can we find them?
They're all on Amazon. Some of them are ebooks. Some of them you can get in hard copies. The hard copies are Ordinary Guide 3rd edition and Good Preachers, Bad Preachers. All the short stories are available. All the short stories except Grateful are based on Holy Scriptures. And that is the intellectual part of my writing, I would have to say. It's not the fact that I'm an excellent writer, and when I say that, I mean intellectually. I also mean mechanically, because I didn't have anyone help me with my books. However, I must admit I did have a lot of educational background with writing. Before I entered the master's program at USF, even before I entered that program, before I entered the PhD program, I did, for some reason, take an interest in writing early. And so I have had a lot of practice with it. I think the most interesting part, or the most intellectual part about my writing, is that the characters love Holy Scriptures. I don't know, I could be wrong, but I don't think anybody has ever taken on that perspective. Now, I do know there's writings out there, as TV shows and things like that, about you know, going to church, and you know, people telling stories about this, that, and the other. But I don't know if anybody has ever said that these characters love the Holy Scriptures, especially one character in particular, and that is Miss Jane Woods, who's in the stories. The only story that I could think about that I wrote that does not have Holy Scripture is Grateful. And for some reason, I don't know why I didn't put Holy Scriptures in that. It could have been because I wrote it so fast. I wrote it when we were downtown helping Mayor Welch with his campaigning. It was at a Pride event. And I wrote that while my husband was out kind of talking, and I was doing a little bit of talking too, but I was mostly on my computer. And it was, I forget the young man's name, but he was the person, I believe, who was helping Mayor Welch with the election. And that one, that's the only reason I can think about why I didn't put Holy Scripture.